I've had a request for me to cover monitoring, control and emerging technologies. So all of this that you can see on your screen now is what it says in the exam board specification that needs to be covered. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to talk through the various sections, and if you want to rewind and get as much down as you want, okay, you just need to have an awareness of how things are used. So I'm going to start off with control. Okay, first of all, there's something called remote desktop access, and what this is where you can use a computer and the internet to connect to another computer somewhere else and control that computer. It's one way that people can help other people in other countries fix computers, okay, but you have to allow people access in order to be able to do this. Hackers can use this same principle to operate computers and form botnets to perform denial of service attacks against websites. Okay, it's one way that can happen, but mostly it's used to help people fix computers or to help get access to files remotely, so you can connect to a computer that's on a server somewhere else and you can get all the files that you would be able to get if you were actually at that given location. Now, remote control in other situations could be, for example, a text message to your boiler to tell your boiler that it needs to switch off. Okay, say that you're out and about. There are systems now that allow you to text your boiler and actually get your boiler to switch off at a given time according to certain commands. Here I'll show you an example of what I'm talking about. In this website you can have complete control of your central heating using your mobile phone, okay, and it says how it works on the website. So let's have a look. Basically it works via a text message sent to this unit here, which will receive the message and act upon the directions that you have given it. Okay, there'll be certain codes that you'll need to use, or you can ring it up by the looks of this as well. Okay, I don't expect you to be able to talk to it, but there will be something that will be activated by the calling of a particular number. There are also other situations where, for example, remote control is necessary in the case of a nuclear power station, where you may want to operate the power station from a distance so that you don't find yourself being exposed to radiation. That's another example of remote control. Traffic lights can be controlled using the internet. Okay, these are controlled remotely, as is CCTV. Okay, which I can't seem to write on here, so I'm just going to do it like this. There we go. CCTV, which is also controlled remotely. You've all seen, I'm sure, CCTV cameras move, spin and zoom in and things like that at times. Okay, these are obviously controlled by a remote base. Let's go back to the internet again, and let's have a look at some other examples of remote monitoring, remote control. So we're going to try and find a video of an iPad being used to control a home. Okay, here's an example of someone using an iPad to control their TV and a variety of other things as well, as you'll see. This would require a lot of compatibility. The iPad will be hooked into the internet, which will be hooked into the house, and then a variety of different devices will be used to interface between the internet signals coming from the sent via the iPad and the sort of hardware devices. Here he is using his music player. You can even tell it what rooms to go into. If you want to find out more about this video, just go to this video here. Okay? Now what you'll probably get asked about during, in this particular topic will be the implications of remote control, or why remote control is used in certain situations. Well, it may be a situation where it's not safe for a human to perform these tasks. It may free the user up to be able to perform other tasks. Okay, for example, being able to operate your home using an iPad is quite lazy, but at the same time it allows you to do other tasks at the same time. In terms of the heating, there is an implication that you could save energy and be more efficient if you're out and you forgot to turn your heating off. You can have that sorted out for you via text message or a phone call. Okay, we will go and have a look at this section in bite size about computer control from a different point of view, just computer control in general instead of remote control. Before we do that, we're going to have a quick look at monitoring. So, monitoring and control. Now, the difference between the two of these in terms of a computer is quite straightforward. Monitoring is simply where a computer takes readings from sensors, stores them, but does not act upon them. Okay. Now, this can also be known as data logging, okay, which we'll talk about more in a minute, which has disappeared, which is great. Here we go, and it's back. Data logging, okay. Now, also, in terms of data logging, there are obviously implications with that. So, for example, data logging, there are advantages and disadvantages of using computers to do data logging. Now, non-computer data logging would just be where somebody someone manually just counts things. Okay, that could be cars driving past. Okay, or it could be a range of other things also that they wish to count, other experiments or things like that. Now, the reason you'd use a computer instead of a human is because a computer can take measurements at exactly the right time, okay? And it also can take them very quickly, so you can have only a millisecond in between or less if necessary, which a human can't do. It's also a lot more accurate in taking readings, okay? Because humans can obviously make human errors. Now, again, the difference between monitoring, as we see over here, and control, as we see over here, is that in control, the computer will actually use these readings and act upon them. So it may change something, okay? It may, I don't know if it's, for example, I don't know, let's take the example of a fridge. If a fridge just monitored the temperature, then it would go, oh, okay, it's 4 degrees, okay, 5 degrees, 6 degrees, 7 degrees, 8 degrees, and it wouldn't do anything about the fact that the food was obviously heating up inside the fridge. Okay, whereas, as we know, a fridge does act upon the readings that it takes from the inside of the fridge, and if it senses that the food or the inside of the fridge is heating up, then it will turn on the cooler, which will reduce the temperature inside the actual fridge. Okay, say it changes something accordingly. Okay, let's go back and look at the computer control section here. Okay, which I'm gonna need a new page for. Okay, this is pretty similar to what I was talking about before. Why are computers used in control? Well, basically, a control system typically comprises of a computer or a microprocessor, a control program which handles data from sensors and sends signal to output devices, and an interface box to convert symbols between the sensors and the processors. Now, just stop for a second and think about why we convert signals between sensors and the processors. Think about the two types of signals, which one the computer understands and which one the sensor records. Okay, so the microprocessor or computer takes the sensor readings, or the input device readings, okay, and it decides what to do with them. Now, an output device could be a robot. Okay, the robot could sense something using its sensors. The computer inside the robot will tell it to do something, and the robot will mechanically operate to carry out the instructions from the computer. That's an example of input, process, and output in the form of computer control. So, why do we use computers in control? Well, computers can respond very rapidly to change. Okay, the sensors can quickly take readings and quickly make decisions and quickly send the orders out to the output device to change something depending on what the sensors tell it is happening in the outside world. Systems can run 24 hours a day. They don't need a holiday. Okay, 365 days a year. Control systems can operate in places that humans would find dangerous. We've talked about that before in the nuclear power plant example. Outputs are always consistent and error-free. Okay, so it changes exactly how you want it to change. Okay, there's no errors, especially in input as well. Data inputted is accurate if it comes from a sensor instead of a human, unless there's a problem with the sensor, but that's a lot less likely than a human error. Machines can operate faster than humans. Yep, that goes without saying. Here's a few examples that you can read yourself. There are examples of where certain things are controlled by computers. Okay, I've shown you this video before, but I'm going to show you again. This is a video of a machine in America demonstrating the level of accuracy it has. No, it's this one here. I'll play the first few seconds of it. Very cheesy, and then you guys can watch it yourself.
Do you remember this video clip?
This uses sensors.
Working together using our superior motion control. If we didn't impress you with that clip, how about this?
And a control path. Okay, so this is what it came under, monitoring and tracking. So we have done a bit in class about how workers can be monitored in the workplace using computer programs. There's some videos on YouTube which you can have a look at, which I'll show you in a second, that actually show you the range of softwares that are available to track your workers in the workplace to make sure that they're working instead of doing other things. This could particularly benefit people that work at home. One of them I think was called StaffCop. Cookies is a way that websites can track your search patterns, your preferences, to make websites appear more suitable for you and to target adverts towards you as well. It also helps to remember login features. So I'm sure most of you who've got smartphones won't have to log in every time into Facebook. That's because of cookies that are saved on your phone that store your login details. Obviously there are implications for that if your information is written down somewhere on your phone. There are problems if your phone was to get hacked. Key logging, that's keystroke logging. So that's the case of where your keystrokes can be recorded by a virus or a Trojan, spyware, that can send those details to somebody else, which can mean that some of your passwords are recorded, okay, and transferred to somebody else, which can have implications in identity theft and things like that. That's why online banking now have a memorable keyword in which you have to use a drop-down menu and click on the letters instead of actually typing them in, so that you don't actually have to press keys on the keyboard that can be recorded. Worker call monitoring. Okay, this is the case of just listening in on phone calls. Most of you who've rung a customer service line will hear the phrase calls may be monitored and recorded for training purposes or quality. Okay, this is what's happening now to ensure that any issues between customers and staff, the true story can be shown just by playing back the recording. Okay, also make sure that workers aren't calling family and friends during the work time. Electronic consumer surveillance. We're talking about RFID tags there. Okay, so those are the tags that go onto CDs and clothes that make sure that you don't steal them on the way out. Okay, you'll notice that by the door, this is the door, you will have 2 panels, and you will have to walk through them to get out the door. And if you have something on you which will set it off, so a stolen item or an RFID tag, then you will, unfortunately, set off an alarm, fortunately for the shop. Okay, mobile phone triangulation. Basically, this involves the process of using 3 different mobile phone masts to pinpoint where a person is. So, let me just show you. If this is mast number 1, this is mast number 2, this is mast number 3. Okay. If your mobile phone is connected to all 3, okay, then we know that it's in this kind of region, okay, because they've got a maximum, only got such a size maximum range. Okay, now if we know by the strength of the signal that you were 100 meters from the black one, then we could draw a circle 100 meters. Okay, if we know that you were 150 meters from the red one, then we could draw 150 meters one. Okay, so a little bit shorter on this side. And if we know you are, I don't know, 70 meters from the blue one, then we can draw 170 meters. Okay, and that doesn't actually show where you are. It's impossible. So you must have been a little bit further. Okay, let's just backtrack. Imagine that you were 300 meters or 120 meters from the blue point. Okay, there we would see that all 3 cross over here, and using that technology you would be able to see that this is the point at which this person was at a certain time. So it's a way of monitoring and tracking people using mobile phones. It's very simple mathematics. Okay, automatic number plate recognition. We've talked about this. That's ANPR. You might have seen this in programs like Road Wars, Street Wars, where people are driving along and there's police cars behind them, and the police cars can automatically read the number plates of the cars and can check against the database whether or not they've paid their tax or their insurance, or if the car's stolen, or if the car is involved in a crime. Okay, it's a very, very useful piece of equipment. CCTV cameras. These will basically provide coverage to a certain area, visual coverage. They help to record crime. They help to prevent crime by people not wishing to commit crimes in areas where there are CCTV cameras because for fear of being identified. They also are proactive, so if someone sees a crime about to be happening, they can obviously the people watching the CCTV can pass that on to the authorities, and they will react and hopefully arrive at the scene before any damage is done or before the criminals have got away. So this is another way that people are tracked and monitored using ICT. Okay, finally, emerging technologies. This talks about Wi-Fi, mobile technologies, Bluetooth, GIS, and other emerging communication technologies. Basically, you just need to have a brief awareness of the technologies. We all know what Wi-Fi is, wireless internet. It's basically radio waves, a frequency of radio waves that are used in houses or in a variety of different places that allow us to connect to the internet wirelessly. Okay, most of us have got wireless adapters in our house now. They're useful because we don't have to sit next to a certain connection point. Unfortunately, though, the signals can drop out. Sometimes, if you don't protect them, they can be more vulnerable to having your data stolen or even your internet stolen. Okay. Mobile technologies. 4G is the latest in mobile internet range that we have at the moment, but 3G will probably be the one that comes up. Either way, they are both speeds of internet, frequencies of communication. So the 4G range is a different band of radio waves to the 3G, and the 4G has just recently come out. Okay, and it's still in development, but it provides very fast internet speeds in certain locations. Bluetooth is a low-powered radio frequency that allows transfer of files between mobile devices. There are other uses. Isn't limited to just mobile devices. There's a range of different devices that can be used for. It's becoming less popular with the increase in people just using the internet with their packages they've got with their phones. But at one point, it was a very easy way to transfer files between phones that were close together, and some apps allow this to be done seamlessly now. Just simply by knocking two phones together, files can be transferred using Bluetooth. Now, GIS, or Geographical Information Systems, are basically the hardware that allows us to use applications such as maps on our phone. Okay, it allows you to get a geographical position using a combination of satellite positioning and the internet to download the maps, and the satellite position to give you a location via satellite that calibrates with the maps to tell you where you are. Okay, which is why if you've got the internet off and you use GIS, you'll get a position but you won't know where you are. Okay, compared to the maps. It helps us get directions to places. It also helps us to plan routes, find out where we are if we get lost. Lots of different uses for it. It's good for walkers. Okay. Some people use it to tag their locations on social networks, which has obviously implications for security. There are a range of different uses for geographical information systems. Okay, another request on the list was, in fact, something called what if analysis. Now, I'm happy to do a video on what if analysis, but I should say before I go ahead and do this that this formed a large part of the coursework. This was the scenario manager tool, okay, that some of you use for your coursework, and that you can use basically in spreadsheets to work out if we change data in a spreadsheet, what will happen. So for example, in your coursework, you change the data to see what would happen if we started off with 0 funds at the start of the year, what would be the result at the end. That is an example of what if analysis. Another name for it is goal seek, where you give the computer a goal that it needs to get to by changing a certain value, and it will keep changing that value until it reaches the goal. So for example, if we have this box here that has the amount of money the club starts with, you can say how much money do they need to charge in subs each week in order to achieve profit of 5,000 at the end of the season. Okay, so what the computer will do is it will say, okay, you want me to change this number in order to get this number. I see. I'll keep changing this until I get this. Whoops. Let's have another arrow. There we go. That is an example of goal seek and what if analysis. Okay, and scenario managers help us to save those examples so that we can quickly demonstrate them again. It saves that unique set of data that helps us to reach these certain points. Good luck for your exam. Any questions, just give me an email. Any more subjects that you want covering, again, just email me and I'll get them sorted. There'll be an after school session tomorrow, after school at 4 till 5 if you want to attend, to sort of help prepare you for that first exam. There'll also be a session period 5 with Mr. Wheatley in a room to be confirmed. If you come in and ask in the morning, we will let you know, or in the afternoon whenever you arrive. Just ask at student services or in reception and we should be able to tell you. Okay, good luck again, and I'm sure I'll see you over the next couple of days.